coin. Why do you think it's so counterintuitive for people to share these like these, profoundly personal experiences or sad or painful experiences with
Yeah,
others?
I think one of I know for me, certainly one of the big things is I so desperately wanted to be liked. And from a very early age, I started wearing all sorts of masks to try to fit in because I thought that was the thing I should do.
Yeah.
And it was a tragic thing when I look back, and I look back with a lot of sorrow and a lot of now thankfully a degree of compassion, and also maybe a still remaining sliver of judgment. But I'll give you a couple of examples. I remember a gentleman called Chris spoke. He did his one last talk in Vancouver. And I remember when I asked him, often we have a very interesting reaction from people. When we ask them, sometimes they want to puke up and vomit. Sometimes they get angry. Sometimes they get sad. Sometimes
Mm.
they're elated. And then they realize, holy shit. But the most common reaction we typically get is, oh my God, wow. Yeah, well, I really appreciate the invitation, but I think you should call Stephanie. Or you should call Philip. I think their stories are like, these are friends of mine. They're great stories, but I don't think I have a story. So even that alone is very telling about the value in which people feel that they possess in the world.
Mm.
But this man, Chris, said to me, he said, Philip, I just don't have a one last talk right now. He said, I'm not in a great place. And I don't think I'm the best candidate. Why don't you come back in a couple of years when I've got my shit together? And I said, no. I said, I think the world is yearning for more truth and more, visibility into people's lives, the good, the bad, and the ugly. He shared his one last talk, which at the time was entitled, Everything is Awesome, Not. And at the end of his talk, he didn't say, I have it figured out. He said, I'm just in a better place than I was, but I'm still in a tough place in my life, and I've still got a long way to go. He got a standing ovation, but the most telling thing was the amount of people that came up, hugged him, and said, thank you for giving me permission to name that I'm not in a good place, and giving me permission to allow myself to know that that's okay.
Hmm.
Because we are in a world where often what is being portrayed or presented is obviously the best foot forward type of thing. So we're just afraid of not being liked, and we think by hiding parts of ourselves, and I don't mean hiding as in people are out of integrity. We're all hiding at some level. We're all shy in an area of our life. We're all wearing a mask. And it's not an integrity issue. It's just that it's not an intuitive thing for us to necessarily demonstrate and show the parts of us that perhaps we're ashamed of, that we have judgment around, because we feel that we're just afraid that if those things are seen by the world won't like what they see. And in
Right.
fact, what I find, it's the absolute, complete opposite. I had a lady one day who came to me, I was in the gym actually, and she says, I heard you're the guy to talk to. And I'm thinking, well, maybe
Oh
what you want to
no.
talk about. And she says, I'm going to a really important interview and I'm shit scared.
Mhm.
Have you any strategies about getting rid of the fear? And I said, no. And she goes, what? And she thought I was joking. And I said, no, why don't you walk in straight in there, sit down and tell them how nervous you are? She goes, you can't do that. And I said, why not? I said, walk in. They're going to see it anyway. They're going to feel it inside of you. Walk in, sit down and say, guys, before we start, I just want to say one thing. I'm really nervous, but please don't take that as any sign of weakness or a demonstration that I don't want this. I'm nervous because this matters to me. Now, please feel free to ask me any question you want to. And she goes, but what if they don't like that? And I said, do you want to work for an organization or a group of people who don't appreciate your truth? Well, that tells you. So why can't we just be a bit more honest about how we are and how we feel in the world today? And
Mhm.
it's easy to sit here and say it, but I myself struggle with this every single day.